This is my review of a Smith & Wesson Sigma SW9VE Victor Echo 9mm handgun. This gun actually came in a case like this from the store. It comes with a molded hard plastic case. That is the handgun itself and the magazine. There is one actually in the handgun itself. Now the Sigma had a bad stigma with it that's been passed on from the old Sigma 9V series, the first model series of this handgun, which had some issues with jamming, malfunctions, some breakage, you know, the first run problems. Smith & Wesson has improved on this model. Just start or remove the magazine, check to see if there's a round in there. Nothing in the magazine well, nothing in the actual barrel, no ammo, no round. The weapon is clear. Here's one of the magazines. With this handgun, Smith & Wesson has corrected any issues they had with the first series of 9V. The newer model will state on the side of the slide SW9VE, which states that this is the newer model. Now, if you look at this handgun, it looks very familiar. It looks like a Glock 19. Glock actually sued Smith & Wesson over the design of this handgun. It has some of the similar features as the disassemble. To disassemble it, you have these two levers on each side. They're similar, almost exactly to the Glock 19 polymer frame. Slide lock, similar to the Glock 19. No manual safety. This handgun is very reliable. I've put over 250 some rounds through this of different ammunition types. When I purchased this gun, which was less than $300 out the door, I got a box of 50 rounds of Federal factory seconds 95 grain jacketed soft points. This handgun itself was purchased because I wanted to have a 9mm for plinking around, target shooting, and I was actually going to go with a cheaper handgun made by High Point, which was $139 for a C9 9mm on sale. When I got to the store, the sale was over and went up to $159. And this was on sale for this whole package, which comes with two magazines, which I'll get into in a second, a lock, and a box of ammos for under $300 out the door. So I couldn't pass up this deal. For the price of it, you can't pass up this handgun. This is the first handgun I've ever owned that had a polymer frame. All the handguns I've ever fired or had were metal frame. In the service, in the military, I had the Beretta 92F M9, which was also stated as a piece of junk when I first got into the military. Beretta had their issues with the 9mm, but 25 years later, which we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of the M9, it has proven itself as a great standard issue sidearm for the military, to the point where the government has ordered 425,000 more Berettas for the military. Now the new version of this Sigma is also being used for the Allied forces in Afghanistan. It has now been reissued. They make an Allied forces model, which is I think all black, or it's olive, or it's green, whatever it was. This model here comes in the 9mm or 40. It will state on the side it's a 9, it will say 9V or 40V, and on top of the barrel block, which will say 9mm or 40. With this handgun, you will receive two 16-round high-capacity magazines. In California and some other states, you will receive a 10-round magazines because of the capacity law. This one's actually fully loaded with full metal jacket, so I'll remove this off the table. The magazines are made out of stainless steel. They are TIG welded. They are very well made. Solid. I've not heard any issues of these magazines having problems. That is probably the reason why they're in high demand. One, because they're 16-round magazines, so people are snagging these up as fast as they can to make sure they have some in case the law changes. The quality is great. The most expensive I've seen so far is that Gander Mountain for like $48. The cheapest I've seen was around $12 online for used ones, but they're always out of stock. So the average price right now is about $38, so I will be picking up a couple more of these. Now with this handgun, you do receive a gun lock. Of course, the receipt $289.99 was the price on here with everything, and the tag. You will receive a warranty registration card you can send in to Smith & Wesson. I did it online, it took about 5 minutes. You'll also receive a very good book by Smith & Wesson, which is their safety and instructional manual. This is actually a pretty good book. It's only 30-some pages long. It gives pretty good detail, pictures, disassemble, usage, cleaning procedures. One of the few things I've seen is it has an actual instruction how to disassemble your magazine for cleaning, which I don't see in a lot of these instructional books. So this is actually a really good book to read. Now back to this handgun real quick. Now the major issue with this handgun a lot of people have is that it is a lot better than the original Sigma 9V. It's at the trigger pull. They estimate the trigger pull to be around 12 pounds, anywhere from 10 to 12, usually on the heavier side for 12. The original series was designed for law enforcement use because there is no manual safety on the handgun itself. It has what is called the trigger safety, which if you look at the lower half of this trigger, it bends by itself. And once that is engaged, you can pull the whole trigger back all the way. As you can see. Now, the officer or the law enforcement agent could have a round in the chamber, 16 in his mag, and unholster it and be able to fire it, but he'd have to pull about 12 pounds of pressure or 12 pounds of trigger pull on it. This is a DOA handgun. It's a double action only handgun, so every time you pull the trigger you have to pull it all the way back and do a full motion of the trigger. This handgun is also very simple to use, point and shoot pretty much. The magazine fits in very well, it releases very well, slide locks with an empty magazine in it. You can release the magazine, put a new one in, and you're ready to go. Now disassembly of this handgun is very simple. It's designed like the Glock 19, so you have to make sure that the trigger has been pulled, the firing pin has been reset. All you have to do is basically pull this back about 1/8 of an inch, pull down the 2 levers, slide this thing forward, upper receiver comes off. Lower receiver and hand and frame and everything is all one piece here. Trigger arm, you can see it moves. Trigger sear unit, ramp, your guides, everything, those are all metal. The rest is all polymer. As you can tell, it's very simple to clean. You can wipe all this out, lube it however you like. It's in the manual. Your receiver, of course, you have everything simple here. You have your spring, which you can just push in, pull out. Your barrel comes right out. There's your upper receiver and slide unit. And then there's your barrel, which stays 9mm on the block. You also have your spring. This is what's recommended for disassemble for field cleaning. This is basically all you have to do. There's no major reason you have to disassemble any further than this. If you need any more done, you can give it to a gunsmith or send it back to Smith & Wesson, because this gun does come with a lifetime warranty. Reassemble is very simple. Slide your barrel back in. Make sure that you have the 9mm showing through the window on the top of the ejection port, say 9mm on the block. Put your spring back in. Spring goes in really simple. Sometimes you can have it offset like that. Make sure it's straight with the barrel. Once it's all straight and set up ready to go, slide down to your first 2 set of guides and let it fall down, and you are locked, good to go. Add in your magazine, lock and flip, you're ready to fire. That is the Sigma 9VE. Very good handgun, very reliable. Like I said, I've shot over 250 some rounds to this thing. I've owned it less than a month. Has not given me any problems. Fires clean, very easy to clean, very easy to disassemble. Makes a perfect backup weapon or home defense weapon. I'm going to use this probably as a primary handgun because, I mean, for under $300, you can't argue with it. I mean, it's very reliable. It doesn't seem to have any issues. I did pick up a holster from Gander Mountain. It's made by, I believe, Phobos. And this one here actually states it's an HK model for a USP compact, but underneath it says Smith & Wesson Enhanced Sigma Series 9 or VE, E, or G only. They do have other ones here that say Sigma on it, but it'll only say V only, and that will not work. This is the holster. It's called a paddle holster. It has a paddle part right here, and there is no belt loop, actual belt loop. The belt just slides. You slide this between the belt and the gun and the holster itself, and it rocks and rides in between there, so it can slide along the whole part of the belt if you need it to be. The handgun fits in there very nice, as you can tell. It does not fall out. It's made out of polymer plastic. It's snug, but once it's on your belt, it actually comes in and out pretty easy. So it's not that bad. and it's comfortable to wear. It's in a perfect position at an angle for retrieval. It cost me $29 at Gander Mountain, and not a bad little holster. They do make a magazine holster with twin one, so I will be purchasing an extra hold 2 magazines. And that is the Sigma 9 VE.